Hey, this is Rooted Black Girl with Farah and Afnan, representing everyday Black millennial women from multiple faiths and cultures. Today, we're talking our shit as usual, specifically everything about Halima's hijab journey all the way to Beyonce's Drip 2. Sit back and ride out with us.
Hey. Hey, salam alaikum, Afnan. How are you?
Alaikum salam. I'm good. How are you, Farah?
I'm doing good. We're just coming off Thanksgiving. We've been eating. I saw a tweet that said we don't do genocide, but we eat though.
Period. Period.
Exactly. But I feel like that's in the tradition of like Muslims and Islam, in that the only real holiday that we're celebrating is Eid or any other, Muslim holidays or kind of any historical references around Islam. But like Thanksgiving was always one that my parents allowed, right? Because of the food. So it was like, we don't celebrate that, but we eat though. So
Period.
I feel like people are really getting into that. Like, we're not celebrating Thanksgiving, the pilgrims, and that story that's so convoluted by BS and the people who wrote history. And so we're not celebrating that at all. We are honoring Native people in this country. I saw a post where a woman who is Black and Native said, can you celebrate both Thanksgiving and honor Native people? And she said no. And I was like, oh, okay. I was trying to think around that idea. I don't know if you have any idea around that, how you all celebrate. I think y'all were feasting over there as well as.
Oh, we threw down.
Yeah.
I cooked for real. And I do want to take time, especially as I become more of an advocate for diversity and inclusion. I think I want to learn more. Native Americans for me is a population that I'm not as educated as I would like to be. Mm-hmm. And so I acknowledge that I have a lot of growing to do there. In terms of this year though, we cooked. I made everything by myself. We had Thanksgiving, we had stuffing, we had sweet potatoes, we had I made pumpkin pie, mac and cheese, collard greens, all of the good stuff. So alhamdulillah, we had a really good time. I enjoyed it. But there were some people like from Muslims who are like, you celebrate Thanksgiving? And my family was always of the premise, like, it's not a religious holiday. It's not, yes, and many Thanksgivings are about the harvest, that time of year, not necessarily, but I could understand that there would be a lot of pain from Native Americans, and I want to honor that. So I think either next year I'll either do some more research or examine like a better way to do it, because I think it's important to honor those folks, but also want to be, able to celebrate with my family.
Yeah, definitely. And if you think like Native people are more disenfranchised than Black people in this country.
I know.
Yikes. And so sure. I don't think we really know how to elevate them because we just don't see them in spaces, and so I've met and known one Native person, and he went to Cal with me, and he was really Huda's friend, and they worked in the multicultural student center, the MLK Center, student center. And, that was a peripheral relationship. So I don't even know how to honor those voices just because I don't have them in my life, but we always get space for, people who built this country. And so we definitely want to support and honor and continue to learn about Native people and how we can elevate and amplify their voices more.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, as you can tell, I got some Ivy Park on, and
don't smile over here cheesing. If y'all just listen on the podcast, she got this big grin on her face, and I'm low key pissed.
I know. I messed up because Afnan, you actually got your Ivy Park first, because last weekend you were like, bruh, I need the Ivy Park. Can you go get it for me? And so I had my favorite shop here in Atlanta. I hit on the website. So I was like, I was impressed. Yeah. And I was like, just chilling at home, soaking, just doing my thing. And I actually got up, got dressed for you. I went to the store. We copped your items.
Yes.
You're in spirit, even though you're not wearing.
Girl. We're going to insert a picture of me in this hoodie because I was pressed.
We got you a hoodie, an Ivy Park hoodie, okay? We got a bucket hat for you as well, right. So Afnan, almost when we were preparing for this episode minutes before, she was like, take that off.
Oh no, I definitely tried. I was like, you know what? I was like, no, take it off. And she's like, Afnan, you really gonna do this? I said, hell yes. I said, no.
I know. I just got mine yesterday. It came in, and it's so funny because I wore it to my friend's birthday dinner. She had a birthday dinner
Oh, that's
last night.
nice.
And I came home like hype. You know, you had a good time with friends. You don't do that often. I didn't go, we went to a restaurant, tried to be
Yeah,
as big as possible, and we tried to
no, for
celebrate
sure.
my birthday. But I came in, and my sister, she moved in last weekend with me. And I came in doing ape shit. And I was like,
Oh no.
And
No
I
pressure.
realized that, and I was getting low when I came in. My sister was like, "You need to stop. You are on camera now." And
As
I
is humble you
realized,
every time.
girl. And then I realized that the how Meg the Stallion gets low is all in the lunge. It's all in the knees. And the thing is, I was getting low, and I was quite surprised. So I just got to tell y'all that my workout journey is working. I can get low like Meg.
You're measuring your progress by how low you can get, mashallah. I love it.
As I'm measuring my progress by how low I can go, like Meg the Stallion. And
Listen,
so,
I need to get back
all
on
in
it.
the lunge, y'all. Get solid with the lunges. Yeah, but we're in Ivy Park here.
Yeah.
This drip 2 is my favorite so far. Is it yours?
Oh, for sure. No, like I'm black, white, gray, like very, very neutral colors. Every once in a while, like a tan and brown. Mm-hmm. So when I saw this, I was like, I can do this because I want to support her. And there is hype, right? Somebody asked me like, they put up a poll like, why are you buying Ivy Park just to be seeing her stuff? And I said, yes, I am.
Yes.
Yes.
She is so I'm glad woman of like pop culture.
And then because I'm not even gonna stunt, because of the exclusivity of it as well, it's like, ooh, I got my little drip. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
but this line isn't as exclusive. I've seen a lot more on my timeline. Where the first collection, I didn't see anybody cop that.
Really?
Yeah. So I love it. I love that everyone's gaining access. Like there's always this weird dichotomy between access and the exclusivity. And I don't know, because you want to be that person that got it.
Struggle.
But I don't want it to mean that when I got it, you don't got it. But that's what that means,
Kind of. Right.
It does. It's icky. But I love that the girls have it, Athleisure is where it's at. And Beyonce is really capitalizing off of this time and giving us in the girls, all the girls, no matter what gender,
all sizes,
all the girls, yep. Stuff to wear during COVID and being comfortable and cozy.
Listen, when I get my stuff, I'm going to be on the internet. I don't care if it's a month after it dropped and all y'all took y'all pictures and your cute reels. I'm going to do it, okay?
Exactly. And I do want to hit on her release around inclusivity. I'll tell you, I'm about a cool size large, extra large, right? And especially, East African women, in the bottom, like, just large, extra large, right? Maybe up top, a little smaller. And Beyonce, this is a size small, bruh, and I'm swimming in it a little bit. So I know.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, her sizes are oversized. And I understand that. With Zia, we understand that sometimes you don't do exact size because you want people to wear it oversized.
So am I going to be able to fit this stuff that you got?
I got you a medium. Remember I told you I thought you were going to be swimming in it, but that's the style though. You don't want, like, oversized is it. And so Beyonce is trying to push that style on people, so things are not fitted. She wants things to be loose. So if you think you're a medium, you're going to be wearing really, I think, a large, extra large.
Dang.
But it's cute, but I'm swimming in a small, bro. I ain't never seen the day. I've been the same size since I was like 10. I promise y'all.
That's awesome. Well, we're gonna have to see. Listen, if you don't see it on my timeline, it didn't work out. It's on eBay or Poshmark somewhere trying to recoup my coins.
I know. But no, you should keep it. It's you're gonna be comfy. It's really. I have an oversized, the same one in the tan of the hoodie that I got you, and I think you're really gonna like it.
My black is right up my alley. It's every day. Every day. I try to switch them up.
I can wear this every day when I go to Target.
Absolutely, I would. Listen, don't
every day. Yeah. But
what we're wearing, right? So I know that you wanted to talk about the whole thing about Halima and her hijab journey, and I know that's going to be like the bread and butter of what we're talking about today. Yeah. Go ahead and kick us off with that, Farah, because I thought it was.
I think my sister saw it first, and I follow Halima, but it didn't just come on my stories just like that. I don't know why. Not in the Instagram engagement cycle for me. But when I tuned in, she was kind of in chronological order, or just like photo shoots where she felt like she in the modeling industry started slipping with how she wore her hijab. Yeah. And when I was watching it, I thought I wanted to Google how old she was, because it felt kind of, and granted, I'm probably a decade older than her, mashallah.
I
And
don't
so
even know how old she is. When you said it, I was like, how old is she?
how old is she? I think she's in her early 20s. I don't
Oh,
even
she's a baby.
recall.
Oh, she's so young.
Yeah, so she's so young and she's worn hijab for a very long time. She comes from the Minnesota community where the majority of people are wearing like jilbab, like they
Like,
are
shit.
cloaked and out, down and
Yeah.
out, right? So I think contextually for people to understand kind of what she went through, like 20, maybe even more pictures where she was like, this was it. These people
Yeah.
really honored me on the photo shoot. This person didn't. I was okay with kind of pushing the bounds of how I wore hijab.
Yeah.
And from what I saw, I never saw that she showed her neck, but she was detailing times where maybe she put the hijab back and she wore a turtleneck, but she still kind of donned hijab in a way.
Yeah.
But I'm not a fiqh scholar at all. But from what I understand of the revelation with hijab is it says believing women, because the women at the time wore a headscarf, but it was to the back. Believing women take your cloaks and cloak them around your chest, And so the hijab is about kind of covering this front area. And
Yeah.
so that's what I think she was
Yeah.
specifically detailing. Because
Right.
when I was looking, I was like, girl, you are covered, And then I was thinking, okay, let me be real literal about hijab and how it was revealed to us and how we're supposed to wear it. And when I did that, I was able to understand where she was coming from.
Yeah.
And she did say that her mom, for a very long time, asked her to quit modeling. And she just didn't do it. And because of COVID and the shutting down of shoots, she has gone home and kind of recentered herself around her kind of belief systems. She's around her support systems. And so her mom, being kind of a wise Somali mom, is telling her, hey, you live this life with hijab. You're kind of on this pedestal of like hijabi models. You live this journey online, publicly, like detail what you're dealing with right now and redacting how you wore and decided to wear hijab on these shoots. So, I, as someone, and I don't know if everyone knows this, but I did wear hijab for a while, and I was pretty solid. Like I was tight and like locked in.
Mashallah, yeah.
And of course there was a journey of like deciding not to wear it. And it, to be honest, it did happen, as I decided to try different styles. That might have been the waswas that initially started for me. I don't know, I have to be very honest with y'all.
Yeah.
I'm not, have I really examined the trajectory of how I removed the hijab? Not quite. I know that, for me, it was centered around kind of, I didn't wear it back home in Florida. I went out to California. I did decide to wear it. And when I came back to the East, I had to kind of reconcile with all versions of myself.
Yeah.
That, kind of geographically we're all met in this one place called Atlanta. And I had to kind of, look at myself and say, why are you doing what you're doing?
Right.
So I was very proud of Halima for detailing her story. I think it's going, there's power in messaging and telling stories, and her story may not be a story for one person, but will connect with someone else's hijab journey or non-hijab journey, right? Yeah. And for me, it felt youthful. I don't want to say young. I want to say it felt like a youthful, vibrant kind of like my hijab is slightly slipping and I don't like what it's doing for my iman. And I heard her story and wanted to kind of honor her story in the way that she was telling it. It didn't have to connect with me, but I could take pieces that I connected with. And for the pieces that I didn't connect with, I left it for her, and for the people and the girls and whomever who connected with that story. Yeah. So hijab is like, and when we're telling this and we're speaking about this, I want everyone to know that we don't have the answers around how you wear hijab, how you don't wear hijab. I probably even, astaghfirullah, didn't even detail the ayah properly, but from my understanding. And so we want to honor this conversation. Hijab is so integral to our faith, for whomever decides to wear it or doesn't wear it. And I think more than anything, it's a personal journey. Mm-hmm. She decided to allow us into her personal journey, Instagram stories. And so, I just want to give her space to do so.
Yeah, and I love that. And I want to piggyback off of what you're saying, because I think so many times people think that because you have a platform, like we are creating our platform and amplifying our voices, but also the voices of our friends, our sisters, our, our colleagues, or whoever, relates to being, Black, Muslim, and female, right? And so to your point, no, we don't have the answers. All of us are struggling. And I think it's super important that what we're definitely not trying to do, just like you said, is tell you how to interpret somebody else. We're just giving you our experiences in the hopes that it might connect and resonate with some of you. And then if it doesn't, that you'll consider it and also arrive to your own conclusion about like what you want to do in your life, right? So I love that you said that, because I really, really agree that there's so much growth that can happen just from sharing experiences without judgment. And I think I really appreciated what she did. I think I don't follow Halima on social media. I don't follow a lot of famous folks just because, I don't know, it just feels like a lot for me. But so when I heard it, hearing it through other people reposting, I saw kind of two versions. Like one was, oh my God, bless this queen. She's done it for us again. She's spoken for us. I love it. Like, this is how I'm going to do it, period. Then there was another group who was like, I don't really support what she was saying. And, she's not the authority, or to the far extreme of like shifting the conversation about hijab to something totally different in media, and for me, I was kind of confused. So then when I went back to listen to it, I was like, okay, these are very conflicting, accounts of what this young lady was trying to say. So I'm listening to it. I'm just like, y'all, it sounds like she's just telling her experience. I was waiting for the tea. I was like, what?
There was no tea. You're right. There was no tea.
There was no tea.
Yeah, I think she was just with a microscopic lens that we all have of ourselves. We see things that other people don't see. She went and detailed every photo shoot, lots of photo shoots, not every, of course. And she was like, this wasn't it. My publicist or my manager stated like, this is not in line with your purpose and what you want to do. Don't do this shoot, or stand up for yourself. So she just, I think it was a story like Oprah said this, when she detailed her molestation on her show. She said that there is strength and understanding that you're not the only one experiencing something.
And the vulnerability, the honesty, right?
The honesty and vulnerability.
She didn't call anybody out other than herself in terms of, I wish I would have done things differently. And I really respected that about her. And I think her story is a great example of being authentic to yourself. If you wear hijab, cool. I myself have worn hijab, taken it off in college and high school, whatever. So I'm also not going to say like I wear the perfect hijab. A lot of people would argue that, my hijab is not perfect either. And I agree with them. And so I think it was a beautiful reminder to everybody who's watching, whether you're Muslim or not, to, assess yourself, because this, especially if you're in media, if you're in the industry, it'll take you up and suck you in. And none of us are immune to that. And I really had a lot of sympathy and a lot of empathy for, what she had experienced, but also really, really honored and had high admiration for her ability to be vulnerable and to be transparent and to share, her commitment and her, reconciliation with her faith, and just kind of coming back to like, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to be. You know what I mean? And reminding us that, Mama was always right.
I know. And it's about staying truthful to yourself, And I think what's interesting about what COVID is doing, and we said this in a few episodes, we were like, COVID is making people re-examine why you do what you do, who's in your life and who should stay in your life, who should, leave in a way.
Who you can release.
What is your purpose? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Know? And COVID has beautifully done that for a lot of people. And for her, she was able to go home and recenter herself. And we all have that time where you leave for undergrad. And I know not a lot of like my Somali brethrens, like their parents don't let them leave. Because parents are smart. Like the kids are going.
It's like East African parents with different opinions. Go for what? No, stay home.
Stay home. Yeah. So my dad was someone who went away for college. So he really allowed me to have that experience where my mom cried the entire time with the Lysol wipes. She would clean in that room, like drop tears, like my daughter. What's the community gonna say about me letting my daughter leave? And really, among my family members, I was the person who left. So Halima, in her modeling career, left. Right.
Yes.
As a young person in your early 20s, you're taking in so much of the world. You're expanding, and you're really thinking about your belief system. And sometimes, you're so young that you're not understanding how these decisions you're making really are, we should examine the decisions we're making based on our foundational understanding of our belief systems and morals. You don't get that when you're young, but it takes maybe some experience to be like, whoa, I just did stuff and I don't think I've measured it to my moral belief system, And now she's grounded in that, like when something comes up in the future, we don't know if she's going to make the right decision for herself, but she is going to look at her moral compass and belief system, value system, and say, hey, I'm going to do that again. Like, what do I want to do? And so much of youthfulness comes from kind of living and not really saying like, why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I thought it was a beautiful journey that she detailed us on, and I wanted to give her that space as someone who's older, who's been there,
been there, done that, wore the t-shirt, returned it,
put the tag back on there after I wore it one time. Interestingly, I have this thing about ripping tags. Like I have issues around commitment. And I think I still have the tag. Am I taking this back to Adidas? No. But I have this thing around, like, it becomes permanent when I take the tag off. So
so how many times you gonna wear it before you take the tag off? What's your general rule?
2 or 3 times. It gives me a little bit of anxiety to rip the tag.
You know what? I'm over here acting like I love
it.
The same thing. I literally, I have winter coats that I've worn for years and they still had the tag on. And I have no intention of taking them back, to be clear. And it's just like,
I love this piece. I'm not taking it back, no way. But I will say with Halima, so then I went on Twitter, right? And I found some like Muslim influencers and kind of speakers in our community, youthful ones that have platforms. And I was a little taken aback by someone in the Black community who then in her tweet said, and granted, I love this girl's opinions almost 80% of the time, but this one I was like, hold up, like this is different. She said, let's talk about how, and I'm sorry if I'm saying this incorrectly, but it was in the fashion around this topic. She said, let's talk about how when people decide to wear or take off their hijab or wear different styles in hijab that seems like they're receding in their faith, it's really connected to how African-American Muslims wear their hijab. And I was like, dead stop, I was like, this ain't it. This ain't it, like, and I was like, oh, come on, y'all, like geographically, people wear their hijab differently around the world, You could go to Syria and people wear these satin scarves that are really tight around their neck and tied around, I used to live with, I was a resident assistant in the International House at Berkeley. On the 8th floor, it was an all women's floor. I almost said Muslim floor, it wasn't. It was all, wanted to be just around women because the other floors had men and women living among them, in the one quarter. The floors. So on this floor, there was a sister named Iman. She was from Indonesia. The way she wore her hijab was totally different, And so when I saw that, I was like, sis, the girl lives in Minnesota. We know that the Somali community has a lot of connection and maybe infiltration. I don't want to sound like negative around like Saudi kind of Wahhabi Islam, very Salafi styles, not to say anything's wrong or right. So the dawning of hijab is like jilbab,
period. Head to toe. There's no,
there's none of that. And so, and that's Minnesota, right? Because there's a conglomerate of Somali Muslims who live among each other. They're not living amongst the world of everyone and melting pot. So I was just like, sis, this ain't Atlanta Masjid. Like this, Atlanta Masjid is a masjid that I attend personally. I feel most connected to this masjid. And people, alhamdulillah, it's a beautiful community that you can come as you are, but people wear different, their hijab in a different style than, let's say, an immigrant Pakistani Desi community versus an Arab community versus
there's a lot of diversity.
It's a lot of diversity, and in addition, people just wear their hijabs differently. That's okay for that community, And so the way that I wear, even when I go to the Somali Mall down in Clarkston, girl, I got my scarf and my abaya.
And roll it because they will let you know.
My ankles covered with the socks.
They will get you all the way together.
Oh my God. I'm like, I don't want to be like, and not that they're going to do anything. It's just like the cultural and maybe I shouldn't say respect, but it's like the cultural understanding of that community, and that I'm going to respect that space because it's theirs.
Yeah.
So when she said that, I was like, don't make, this ain't about that, sis, you know? And I thought it added a layered part of the conversation, but I was like, don't do that to her journey. Like, give her grace. She's talking about her own hijab perspective. And even at the top of the episode, I talked about wearing hijabs in different styles that maybe allowed me to be more comfortable in different spaces that maybe wouldn't be conducive to a Muslim space, you know?
Yeah.
So, but that has nothing to do with African-American hijab styles being connected to a recession or receding in your faith of Islam.
I totally understand where you're coming from. And I also could understand where whoever this person was, where they're coming from as well. And I think all of us, myself included, it's a reminder to myself first, because remember, y'all, we don't have all the answers. We're just sharing our experiences. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times what I have identified is sometimes when I'm offended, I need to reevaluate how I made it about me, right?
Ooh, don't take things personally. Like, go open up Don Miguel Ruiz, like, 4 agreements, bruh.
Right, and I'm just saying, my personal experience is that sometimes when I feel offended or upset about something, it's actually an area that I need to evaluate and work on myself. Because if another hijabi is talking about her journey, it don't have nothing to do with me. Which is why, for me, maybe I've grown a little bit to where I could hear that and I don't feel some kind of way. You know what I mean?
About therapy.
Yeah, about listen, coins are being used.
Come on, I'm gonna let your therapist
a little bit.
Check, she got that.
Yeah, because you know what, like, you know, when I took off my hijab, like, first of all, for those of you guys who may be listening who's not Muslim, taking off and putting on hijab it's difficult. And I say that because you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, no matter what the situation is. Unless you have like a super supportive family, super supportive friends, someone's not going to like it. Someone's not going to rock with it. Someone's not going to like the new you. Someone's going to criticize how you're doing it. Someone's going to attack you for who you were yesterday and measure that against who you're trying to be with judgment and shame. And it's tough.
I used to criticize the way that I wore hijab and how serious I was. I used to criticize my mom for wearing her hijab style, and she wears it and has always worn it where she ties it in its turban style.
Really?
I used to criticize her and be like, that's not hijab.
Yeah.
You know, like, we all are growing, bro. You know? And I look back at that, I was like, and now looking at it with the lens that I have, I'm like, you gotta let people live.
Gotta let people live, right?
And at the end of the day, when you stand among your maker, it's about you. It's not about
you. They're not going to ask you about your Instagram post or what dawah you gave to your sister about her hijab.
How critical you were on Twitter. You know, how many likes and follows you had. And I'm not saying the sister did this. I think she's a very critical person.
Yeah.
In a great way. Like, she has a very critical lens. She's a thought leader. I see her to be that way.
Yeah.
And I love her voice, and I follow her for that very reason.
Yeah.
But alhamdulillah, I just thought that this may be a miss around, like, you know, let's talk about African-American Muslim hijab styles, but let's not connect it with what Halima's saying and for her journey specifically.
Yeah. No, I totally get you. And I think something that I'm trying to also learn myself is that, you know, when I'm listening to someone speak or share their experience, not interjecting with my own. Right. And it's something it's tough for me, y'all. I'm not even gonna stunt.
I just did it to you.
I didn't even notice, actually. It's so much a part, especially East African culture. I think it's very much a part of like the communal, what's mine is yours. We're going to talk over each other. We're loud for the most part. Exactly. You know, we're very strong, mashallah. And so I think even in her journey, while I did see some of myself in hers, I'm really trying to give everybody space, and even beyond this conversation, you know, to go through life and for them to understand what they need to do. And big ups to everybody who's doing like dawah. Dawah is important, and it's
hard job.
So valuable, and it's difficult to do it well. There's definitely an art and a skill to it. And I appreciate anybody who's able to do it in a way that's authentic to them and that's really, really sincere. And I think everybody just has to make their own decisions. For me, you know, what really put me back onto hijab is I found myself slipping further and further. So I could really relate to her.
Yeah.
It literally went from like, I'm not gonna wear the hijab to, or I'm not gonna wear it completely like this, to turban. And then from turban, not wearing it at all. And then from there, it was the short sleeves. And then from there, I was trying to tank top. And then I just got to a point where, very similar to our sister, I just didn't recognize myself anymore. And I felt like if I kept going at this pace, I would lose myself completely. And I didn't want to do that. But there's not a wrong or right reason to wear hijab as long as it works for you, right? Internally.
It's a
You know what I mean? It's so personal. It's so personal. And so for me, it was the boundary that kept me connected to my faith, right? Like there's a lot of different, in Arabic, we call them sillas, which is like connection, like a chain. And for me, hijab is the thing that anchors me, you know what I mean? And so getting back to, you know, Halima's story, I really appreciate the fact that she shared it. I appreciate the conversation, and a lot of non-Muslims will also be able to kind of like see the community have a discussion in a very generally helpful, you know, accepting, embracing way. And I think that's always like a great thing.
Yeah. And I think another thing around this is that I love when we're being critical about these issues. It means we're thinking as a community.
We're thinking about it.
Yeah. And I love that. You know, I love that. And I think, you know, there's going to be differing opinions, but again,
Always.
we really do respect our sister for coming out and sharing her journey and sharing her story. And I hope that people related to it and really went home and continued to have these conversations with their family members to push the needle around, you know, conversations and connectivity around family. I think we're all growing into this COVID era of, you're not, everyone's questioning why they do what they do, you know? And I think it's also around families and family structures and having the conversations of, it's not just like, you do what I say. It's just like, let's build understanding around it. And that's a beautiful thing. Yeah. We'll leave it at that, right?
Alhamdulillah, drop the mic. We are done. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. If you guys like this episode, please make sure you rate and review. Until next time, we'll see you later.
See y'all.